Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
One we're really excited about. Me and Ray are going to lose our minds. All right, it's from Steve Cauldron. We're finally getting a live-action Voltron movie. Red Notice director Ross and Marshall Thurber will be co-writing and directing. The movie isn't attached to a studio yet. WB, Universal, and Amazon are among the studios in the bidding war. However, reports say Netflix is not in the running. 2 questions. 1, is Rawson the right choice to make this movie?
No.
2, which studio do you think will get Voltron?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And listen, for years, people have wanted a Voltron movie. I mean, just the whole notion of it has been exciting. Listen, Voltron is one of the coolest things out there, either strictly in lion form. Like, Voltron itself is awesome just with the lines. Like, let's pretend they never combined to make Voltron. It's still one of the coolest things out there. But I do remember as a kid thinking, man, does that one lion actually have to walk around all the time with that face in its mouth? But anyway, but whatever, we get over that. There's a lot of questions about that with Transformers too. But there's been talk and there have been attempts to get a Voltron movie going for a very long time. Different studios at different times have taken passes at it. And then I think it was 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, Netflix launched a Voltron animated series, a new one, which actually wasn't bad.
It was incredible.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
You're talking about Legendary Defender?
The Legendary Defender, yeah.
That was pretty good.
And it was pretty good. I mean, I still prefer the original animated thing, but whatever, that's just me. But now, we got some movement, and it looks like they're now in motion on trying to get a Voltron movie put together. This comes from the folks at Variety who write the following. For decades, Hollywood has strived and failed to assemble the massive robot mecha Voltron for a live-action adaptation of the beloved 1980s animated TV series. Now, Red Notice director Rawson Marshall Thurber hopes he'll be the one to bring the robot lion arms, legs, and head together. The filmmaker, who has also directed Dwayne Johnson films Skyscraper and Central Intelligence, is attached to direct and co-write a Voltron movie in a package that is currently fielding offers from multiple studios. Todd Lieberman and David Hoberman, Beauty and the Beast, are producing with Bob Koppler of World Events Productions, the company that holds the rights to Voltron. Thurber is writing the screenplay with Ellen Shanman. All right. I am of two very, very different minds here. On the one hand, I have wanted to see a live-action Voltron on screen almost as long as I wanted to see the live-action Transformers. Like, I mean, I was like a lot of kids, my contemporaries, we watched Voltron, man. There was Voltron and there was Grandizer. Does any of you guys remember Grandizer?
Of course,
Was that
dude.
the car one?
Grandizer's
What's that?
amazing.
Was that
What
the
is
car
that
one? The
one?
No, Grandizer, go!
Oh, dude,
oh my God, I used to
I
love
don't know what that is.
I have diecast
should look at
Grandizer, UFO Grandizer.
Yeah, UFO Grandizer. Whenever the moon would turn red, that's when you knew the aliens were going to attack. And I used to love Grandizer. What was the one? This is another one that was out the same time, where there was this princess from another planet, and she had 3 warriors, and they were all named after the name of the 3 musketeers. There was the one was called, but it's like variations. Like there was Porcos and whatever, and then these 3 guys, their vehicles would combine, and depending on the order in which the 3 vehicles combined, they formed some kind of super vehicle.
That's what there's Getter Robo and Getter Robo G.
I don't know if that was what it was called.
That's the Japanese name.
Starvengers.
Yeah, okay.
Starvengers.
Starvengers is Getter Robo G.
Okay, just with a
it's
different
a sequel.
name. Okay.
Yeah, and by the way,
So it's like-
I have 3 very expensive diecast replicas.
Of course you do.
Now that's that's Go Nagai's. Well, Starvengers, John. It's funny you say that because Starvengers was the American. There was a company that had a thing called Force 5. And Force 5 was different Japanese shows, like Grandizer was one, and Starvengers was one that was the same thing. And they were on cable in the early 80s, and they played throughout the 80s. And not many people remember those, so kudos to you.
Well, this is what I watched as a kid, man. It's what I watched as a kid. So Voltron, back to the lions and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so this is very, very exciting on the one hand. On the other hand, there is a reality where I am not a fan of Red Notice. You got two of my favorite guys in it, Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Ryan Reynolds, obviously, but I'm not a fan. I did not think it was very good at all. Skyscraper wasn't terrible, but it wasn't all that great either. And the action wasn't tremendous in it. And it's like, really? So the guy who did that is going to be doing Voltron? Then you had Central Intelligence with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart. I like Central Intelligence. I find it funny. Nothing in that movie, though, makes me think the guy who directed this should be doing Voltron. My favorite movie of this guy, though, is Dodgeball. One of my favorite comedies. Again, showing he's got some aptness for comedy. But even the movies he's done that I've liked, Central Intelligence, Dodgeball, I don't see anything in there that makes me feel confident that this is the guy to write or direct a Voltron. Now, Kevin Feige once told me, when I asked him why James Gunn to direct Guardians of the Galaxy, he's never done anything like this. And Kevin Feige said to me, because a good storyteller is a good storyteller. I give you that. I have not seen this guy be a good storyteller.
Yeah.
Even when he's knocked it out of the park with some comedy, I've never seen him be a good storyteller.
Just because you can dodge a wrench doesn't mean you can assemble 5 mini lions.
That's the quote of the year.
Wow.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge. That's a great callback. I don't see anything about this. And then particularly when you get into the films that he's made that I really don't think were any good. And like Red Notice, I thought the action was blah, uninspired. And it's like, so again, that doesn't mean he can't step into this and knock it out of the park. And I'm going to cheer for him, but I'm not going to lie. I'm excited to hear that a Voltron is coming. My enthusiasm takes about a 50% dip, finding out that he's the one that's directing it. Now, look, nobody has made a great film until they've made a great film, right? And maybe this will be that for him, that it will be the first one that's not just a pure comedy that he can get out and do. Now, if they announced today that they were doing some Will Ferrell, Steve Carell comedy and being directed by him, I'd be really excited. I think that was great, but I'm not going to lie. I am apprehensive. I'm not trying to trash on him. I'm not trying to diss him. I'm going to cheer for him. I'm just saying I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't a little bit concerned about this. I don't know, Rob, you hear about the director choice here. First of all, what do you think about them doing a Voltron? And then what do you think about the director choice?
Well, I'm a huge fan of the Japanese super robot genre from the 70s, of which Grandizer and Star Avengers, a.k.a. Get a Robo G, come from. The tone of something like that live action for audiences today would be very difficult to get right, because I could see it descending into camp, and nobody wants that, I don't think. People who watched Voltron and loved it, we took it seriously. We didn't laugh at it. It was cool. And so how do you make a post-Transformers, post-Pacific Rim world except Voltron? I can see them with his Ross Thurber, his comedic bent, might make it funny, like it's a parody.
And I'm cool with there being laughs. I'm cool with there being laughs in here.
Absolutely. But I think audiences today, it is a very difficult needle that you have to thread, or a difficult thread that you have to have a good needle to do that, to sew that tapestry together, because if you don't, it isn't going to work. And I think, believe it or not, it takes a pretty, like, to me, what Guillermo del Toro did with Pacific Rim was the perfect example of combining these two things. But I wanted something kick-ass. People who grew up with Voltron, because it's lions, there's kind of an element of humor to it. I mean, I'm still waiting for my Gundam movie, my Robotech or Macross movie.
Well, I was going to ask, where's Robotech?
Evangelion, where's all the kick-ass cool shit?
Oh, it's expensive.
I know.
It's real expensive. I know, Ray?
With Voltron, if any of you remember the episodes, you don't really have to worry about the story. It all ended all the same every time. Big monster, sword, cut him in half. Whatever conflict it was either between the pilots or the villain. What's his name? King Lord. What's his name?
Lotor.
Lotor. There's either some conflict with them, and that. I think the special effects is going to be vital to this.
But then the tone, again, do you make it goofy and really colorful, or do you make Voltron look like it could really exist in the real world?
You know, my favorite part about Voltron was, and they didn't never even like expanded on this, the lions being from different environments.
Yes.
That was my favorite thing. Like you know, one came out of the water, one came out all these different places.
Forest,
right?
Yeah.
That I hope they expand on the lions actually having some sort of, even though the robots, personalities in a way. You know what I mean? I meant they could go that route, but robots and space is a perfect mix for me.
Now you're right, like, because it always did the same thing, right? At some point in the fight, Voltron would slap his hands together, right? Unless I'm confusing with another one of these shows. But he slaps his hand together, spreads his hand bar, and out comes the sword, right?
Yeah.
But everything was exactly the same every time, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
They would, first, the lions get in there. Okay, well, this isn't working. Form Voltron. All right. Form Voltron. Fight.
Form
We're getting beat. We're getting beat. Well, crack out the sword. And I always remember, even as a kid, going, okay, there's the bad guy. Break out the fucking sword now. Like, why wait until you're getting after? No. We got to go through the staging. We don't want to jump right to the sword. I always think to myself, every week it's the same thing. You start to get beat up, and then you go, well, we better bring out the sword. Just start with the sword.
We ate all that up. Every week. Here, Kool-Aid. Let's go.
I don't know. Rob, listen, if they can find a way to do this, one of the questions that they're asking us is, where does it end up? Now, this should absolutely not be a Netflix film. There's no way this should
Netflix
be Netflix
has Gundam, right?
Yeah, I'm a little bit dubious how that's going to turn
and
out.
Netflix did do the animated series.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Defenders.
I'm curious as to why they're not. Is it a Red Notice issue? Like they did the animated series and they had Red Notice, which did really well for them. I would have thought they would be the first people to snap this up.
A giant robot should go on a big screen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what
I don't know if they want to spend the money that this thing would cost. You're either going to do it poorly, you're going to spend an incredible amount of money on it, and it's not a guaranteed audience like a movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Ryan Reynolds.
No, it's true.
And it doesn't actually make you any money. So I think that's probably the main reason they're scoffing at. Amazon doesn't seem to be afraid of that right now, because they're in a heavy push to acquire new subscribers. So they're going to spend all the money in the world on Lord of the Rings and things like that. I see this thing ending up at Warner Brothers, depending on how it starts to come together.
It would be a perfect thing for Legendary to do, since they did Pacific Rim, they did the Monsterverse. I mean, and obviously the thing about Voltron is it comes from 80s Japanese shows as opposed to the Super Robot 70s shows like, well, Star Avengers and Grandizer. But it still is a beloved thing, and if they had that Guillermo del Toro sensibility that Pacific Rim had, it could really work, I think.
And that's who should be brought on to direct. That was my first thought, was why can't we get del Toro for this? Because it'd be wonderful to have him explore their fighting with the Galra Empire and everything. Would be so friggin' cool.
You know, it's really interesting because I think if you look at Pacific Rim, which by the way is not perfect, but
it's fun.
I love it so much. But if you look at Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim 2, you can see how these things are very difficult to do correctly. So,
by the way, the one other one I forgot. I'm ashamed that I forgot to bring this up earlier, because we were talking about Grandizer and Star Avengers and things like that, Voltron. But the one me and my friends, when I was a kid in our neighborhood, growing up on Carson Drive in Hamilton, Ontario, the one we used to play and run around in was Battle of the Planets.
Oh yeah, that had the princess.
We were Mark, Jason, Tiny, Keop, Princess in the Phoenix. The Phoenix was their ship, and the Phoenix had one button with a glass cover on it.
Oh, the glass cover.
Yep, they would open up the glass cover, and that was the button that shot missiles. That's the one weapon that the Phoenix had before its other than its transformation. And they're, oh boy, they're in trouble now. When Tiny would open up the thing and hit the one button, and that's it.
And by the way, the Phoenix was badass. That is a badass ship, and it still has a great design.
Do you have a figure of it?
I do.
You do?
I have a diecast. As a matter of fact, there's multiple Phoenixes now. There's the original Phoenix, the red and blue Phoenix, but then there's the God Phoenix. And the Phoenix that I have actually came with a clear a plastic flame. You know, it comes.
Yes.
So you can put the die-cast thing, the ship, the actual Phoenix, inside.
What is the biggest Phoenix you have?
It's about this big.
You got to bring it in. I got to see this.
I'll bring it in.
I
about
would
this
love
big.
it. And by the way, before there was the mysterious endings of Lost and all that kind of stuff, before any of that and those cliffhangers in Battle of the Planets, what was the name of the villain? Zoltar? Was it
Zoltar from Big.
Anyway, but this guy with the big pointy hat, and he always had this mask on, right? But at the end, I believe it was at the end of one of the seasons, it is, you see from behind, and all you see is a silhouette, but his mask comes off for the first time, and you see this long flowing hair, and you realize it's a girl. And that was the big thing to everybody. It's like, oh my God, the big villain's a girl. And all of us as kids, Zoltan? Is that what he was? Zoltan was the name of it. And we would all freak out, and yeah, oh God. I used to love G-Force. G-Force, Battle of the Planets, man.
I think it was in Texas that Battle of the Planets was actually edited because of the religious connotations that it had.
Oh, that makes sense. We do a lot of dubbing there too.
Really?
Yeah. Funimation is out there. Sentai Filmworks is out there. That's where I got started.
This was back, I think, in the late 70s, though.
I was good.
I wasn't a concept
You didn't exist yet.
No, no
Yeah.
one was thinking about me.
No, but still, it was because of the weird, the God, the things that they would say, like, was not
Oh yeah,
Christian
but we should
enough.
bring it back to
Yeah,
Voltron.
Voltron.
Voltron here.
Sorry.
The DreamWorks show, I think, is a really great blueprint to see what works on and how to modernize it and tell a long form story.
Yep.
All the stuff with the Galra they did was excellent. All the planetary outreach they did of trying to establish trust in the universe was really, really amazing. The changes they made to Allura, the changes they made to Pidge.
Yep.
Some of the stuff with Shiro, not so much, because there was like queer baiting at the end of the show that was like, oh, just come on. Don't do
Right.
that. Don't do a bait and switch to try to appease the LGBTQ community. Speak to them in a smart, constructive way. This isn't the way to do it. So there's lessons to be learned from that, but most of the storytelling on that show was phenomenal. There was a lot of heartbreak on there. Oh, well done stuff.
Do you guys remember Robot Jocks? That movie?
Yeah, Stuart
Oh,
Gordon.
that was
God.
that was the beginning of my love for human-controlled robots. And this one is going to have cat robots, and they combine together like the Constructicons. Who doesn't have that cool fascination that these small robots form into a big robot? It's really cool. Like what a great sequence it would be when they get into the lines. You know how they would go down those chutes,
Yeah.
and they would all appear in the different environments. That would just be such a cool scene, like if done right.
Dude, I think someone should clip this part of this today's show out and send it wherever they're trying to get whatever studio is going to buy this. They should just have us wax rhapsodic about this show.
I'm gonna
Ray
make a
Aura
prediction.
could sell this show.
I am going to make a prediction right now, though. Ross and Marshall Thurber will not end up directing
Yeah,
this.
yeah, me too.
Like, he's the one that the company has attached to it right now. But I think once they go and start taking meetings with Warner Brothers or Universal or Amazon, I think at some point one of the executives in those rooms is going to be, we're interested, but we need a different director.
We have stipulations.
Yeah, I just don't, I can't see any of them picking it up with him attached to direct.
Unless he's got a really clear vision.
Yeah.
And if he's got an idea, a killer idea, then maybe. But I'm going to
This could be
predict
the one
that.
that turns it around.
Yeah. Okay, over under that this actually happens, that a studio picks this up. I'm going to say it's a movie whose time has come. I'm going to say 70% this thing happens, Rob.
I'm going to go a little under. I'll say 50%, only
All right.
because I'm tired of waiting for my giant robot shows.
Ray, you're going to
Turning
say
into
0 or
movies.
100. Which one is it?
I'm gonna actually do this one right. I think I'm gonna go 40%, just because we've been waiting on Robotech. Wasn't that attached to James Wan at some
Toby
point?
Maguire was
Maguire.
attached to it.
And then, like,
15 years ago was
Gundam.
attached to
It really does take a lot for these movies to actually make it to the screen. So 40%.
40%, Chris.
Hope springs eternal, 80%.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this idea of a Voltron movie? I'm a little mixed. Part of me is very excited. Part of me wonders, is Rawson the right guy to do it? Maybe he is. Maybe we'll find out he is. Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take just a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, Masterclass. Masterclass is offering classes on a wide variety of topics, like all taught by world-class masters at the absolute tops of their field. Each class is broken down out into individual video lessons, usually like around 10 minutes or so long, and members can explore at their own pace. And each class is supported by downloadable materials, lessons, recipes, or more that you can all find at masterclass.com. For example, are you into streaming? Well, you can take the Building Your Streaming class taught by ninjas so you can sharpen up on your streaming skills. Or if you're interested in independent filmmaking, take independent filmmaking from Academy Award winner Spike Lee. You want to get classes on how to direct? How about from Ron Howard? The very first one I personally looked up and got into was Business Leadership by the great Big Papa Iger, Bob Iger himself. And I was absolutely enthralled with it. I love every single minute of this stuff. If any of those apply to you, you need to try Masterclass. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass, and as a John Campea Show viewer, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. Once again, to get 15% off your annual membership, go to masterclass.com/Campea.